Good evening, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and we're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. Before we do, usual disclaimers. You're going to see the link to this article right there in the description box, alongside the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shots campaign, including Autistic Oil's massive archive on the subject, the templates, and the ever-present, self-explanatory Change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. 2 warnings, folks. You're going to see some gaslighting, mocking, and the insulting of the intelligence of people with disabilities who are fighting this school, which has been dubbed by the Special Rapporteur on Torture as cruel and inhumane beyond all reason. Also, when we talk about the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones, alright? Also, I'm not quite tired as normal because day off and all, but yeah. The Dr. AH had on today just freaking on a professional level. I was shouting at the TV. Guys. I know the DSM-5 forward, backwards, and sideways. I was one of the people who was commenting on it when it was in its production. Yeah, I was. I know it very, very well. And the crap that was spewing out her mouth, I will probably do a video on that tomorrow if I can take a moment away from stream and kind of put my thoughts together on it. So if I stumble over my words, my apologies in advance, alright? God, that was a fucking headache and a half. Moving on. Full statement from the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center Parents Association. So these are the folks who have drank the Kool-Aid so goddamn much that they actually pay for the JRC's lawyers. Yeah, pay for the lawyers of the people torturing your kids. These are the people who have watched the Andre McCollins video, have seen all the documents that we have shown on this channel, and still believe in the JRC. Yeah. Some people, kind of like AH stands actually, cannot be moved by facts, medical records, or evidence. I'd known this far before the JD case. You guys are about to get a taste of where I first got my first taste of that from. This is a response from Marie Washington, president of the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center Parents Association, whose son is inside the JRC. We, as parents of the children and the adults at the Judge Rotenberg Center, support the modification of language in proposed federal legislation to allow for aversive behavior interventions, including restraint for students diagnosed with severe behavior disorders, to protect our children's rights to a free, appropriate public education under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. This is the most fucking bizarre, backwards gymnastics bullshit I've ever seen in my life, folks, and I've been seeing it for years. How in the name of God is depriving your child of food and sleep, having random staff members jump at them threateningly in hallways and at random times for their bizarre behavioral rehearsal lessons, and having shocking them just below the lethal limit every time they so much as sneeze and an employee doesn't like it, with employees literally attacking kids in the damn showers. How is that free and appropriate public education as defined by the IDEA? It's not. It's not at all a torture device to help with schooling. All right, let's see this garbage, shall we? The interventions are only used after all other treatments and less restrictive alternatives have already been tried and failed. Ah, but that's not what the New York report said. They said they do a token effort, which has been backed up by other parents and the victims. They try for 2 days and then throw them on that board. Don't fucking at me with your bullshit. Our children have endured lives where they are either a danger to themselves, family members, staff, or fellow students, or even the passerby. Again, this is the gaslighting. This is the victim blaming. This is what they deserve. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. And don't fucking at me, parents. You care only about your fucking selves. And I know this because I have sat through hours and hours and hours and years of testimony. Never a word about whether your child is happy except as a passerby comment. The solutions our children have been offered other than at the JRC are full-time physical or chemical restraint. Lies. That's actual complete and utter bullshit. Advocates, doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists, people from every profession in the goddamn medical field have been presenting alternatives for years, largely to be ignored and ridiculed. So we are very well aware of the full-time physical of the important nuances of what we are asking for in the language of this legislation. They're obviously not. The right to choose the appropriate and safe treatment for our children when nothing else has worked must remain an option for a small percentage of children for whom this is a matter of life or death. Here we go again. They want you to believe we are the worst of the worst who get sent to that school. But again, that's not the truth, is it? Our children exhibit severe behavioral disorders and have done unimaginable things to themselves and others. Have they? What did Andre McCollins do to deserve what happened to him? He refused to remove his coat, folks. That was all. 2 students were shocked each over 71 times, having done nothing wrong. These kids get shocked for making odd noises or blinking too much. We have the actual records from the school of quote unquote shockable target behaviors. We have it actually linked in the description box, folks. I like to come with receipts. But we made the decision to not give up on them when the doctors told us nothing else could be done other than sedation and a life in a psychiatric hospital. Funny as a parent that you didn't seek a second opinion. My parents did. You know how I always say I grew up around hospitals and medical care my whole life? My mom, and yes, even my aunt, were smart enough to not just stop at one and made sure to get a second opinion. It's what most responsible parents do. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was a lie too. Would you want a bureaucrat in Washington deciding what healthcare treatment you or your families receive? No, honey, but I want a doctor to. I don't want a county probate judge with no medical degree or any medical experience or mental health experience to be deciding what is the best for my mental health care and treatment. And neither should you. These people are trained for a fucking week before they're allowed to be around your children. Do you really think that's sufficient? That's not a professional. Not in any capacity. And guess what, folks? The FDA and the people on it include people with medical degrees. So, yes, I'm going to take that guy sitting on the FDA board with an actual medical degree over a probate judge any day. Just saying. We understand the video ABC is airing of a student from 2002 is difficult to watch, but it is no way an example of the highly successful education and treatment that occurs every day at the JRC. Oh, but it is, though. And we've got the records, medical and otherwise, to prove it. The student in video was home from a home visit and was taken off the court-appointed skin shock treatment by his mother, which caused him to severely regress. And we're going to victim blame. You see that? They're blaming Andre for the horrific shit. So you saw that video yesterday. You saw what Andre McCollins went through. They're blaming his mother and him for what happened to him in that place. Can you believe the fucking nerve? For 7 months, he made unprecedented progress at the JRC when his aggressive and self-injurious behaviors were brought to zero or near zero levels. Really? He averaged 1-2-second skin shock a week as opposed to being on massive doses of drugs or physically restrained, which had been his life before his mother set a place for him in aversive treatment at the JRC. Really? What are you doing as a parent with his medical documents? You should not be privy to that information. That is a violation of HIPAA law. You have no business to that information. JRC has no business to reveal that information to you. That is fucking a shocking goddamn violation of federal protections. I wonder if anybody ever noted this. They're not supposed to have access to that information, period. At all. What is this? The incident on tape was 10 years ago. Treatment is done differently today. Oh, I'm supposed to take your word for it, right? But I've seen the DESE reports. Don't give me your bullshit. 2012 was also the year those two kids were shocked over 71 times. They've changed? Have they? Really? The treatment would have been suspended much sooner than it was, and the student would not have been on a 4-point restraint board receiving skin shock. It is important to note that the sole reason the recording exists is because the JRC maintains cameras in every room where a student receives treatment. It is only such facility to do so. So that makes it okay? Fuck me. This was instituted by the JRC over 20 years ago of their own accord for the protection of the students in their care, enable the staff and the parents if they choose to review applications of the GAD and to learn from them. Fucking psychotic is what it is. It's psychotic. They don't care about the protection of those kids. 6 students are dead. Explain that to their families. Andre McCollins is now stuck for the rest of his life with extreme post-traumatic stress disorder. So is Jennifer Masemba and the rest of the victims you bastards traumatized. We love our children and support the committed staff at JRC that work to find the best ways to serve our children and manage the behaviors to a level where they're no longer causing self-injury and pain to ourselves. Our children are learning, they spend time with their family and friends, they are happy and safe, and as parents, we is all we can hope for, and the JRC provides us with it. So this is a thing, people. You see it right here, right? They close their eyes to it. They blame Andre for what happened to him, when clearly you can see from the video he was not being aggressive. He was not doing anything wrong. He simply refused to remove his coat. And that's what happened to him. And that's the truth. But these parents believe so much in all of this, in spite of the evidence, in spite of independent investigations, in spite of a special rapporteur on fucking torture, for God's sake. This willingness to just believe, in spite of the evidence in front of your face, has always been something that has just I've never been able to wrap my mind around it. I've never been able to understand how you can look at the evidence, the medical records, hear the testimonies of other doctors and other programs that have been running successfully in other states for years. Their answer is, well, the words they send to the JRC. There has never been a fucking child from the state of Missouri that has ever been sent to the JRC. To my knowledge. I promise you, parents have come to my office and given similar stories. With the assistants creating that circle of support, including their doctors and medical treatments, their psychologists and their psychiatrists, we came up with programs that have worked. We have written papers, documents, produced results, and have put them out in medical and scientific journals all over the world. But these parents turn a blind eye. They don't want to believe. They don't want to believe what's before their own eyes. It's something that I'd never be able to understand or quantify. But just because these parents would rather live the lie doesn't mean their children should have to, or be traumatized for one more day. I never take anyone's word for anything. I was jaded a long goddamn time ago. How anyone could be safe and happy and learning and doing well when they are being starved, jumped, sleep deprived, and tortured is beyond my comprehension. And on that note, I'm going to close out for this evening. We don't get very many views on this channel, especially on this subject. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments. Do appreciate your time this evening. And as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye now. Talk to you later.